Taylor Swift's new album is many things. Unfortunately, good is not one of them. I knew the album wasn't going to be good as soon as the title was revealed, but the promo pics made me curious, so I have listened to the album in full. And now, having listened to it, the album's problem is glaringly obvious. The problem is Taylor Swift is aging out of being a white girl. Before you scroll, let me cook. When Taylor was a teenager, she wanted to be a pop star, so her parents decided to take the country route. Keep in mind, this is the 2000s. Pop music was highly sexual, it was sleazy, and then you had things like bling rap. It's not a place for a little white girl. Country music, on the other hand, loves a little white girl, and she's blonde, they'll eat her up. So her family moved from Pennsylvania to Tennessee to launch her country career. That's why for the first several years of her career, she faked a southern accent. She was trying to fit in, seem authentic. Once the pop landscape started to change the late 2000s and early 2010s, that's when she started to transition to making pop music. And now to talk about white girls. White girls don't have sex. They don't know what that is. White girls they're cute, they're adorable, they're like dolls, they're precious, they have to be protected. Do you remember a couple months ago whenever parents would bring their kids to Sabrina Carpenter shows and then act aghast because Sabrina Carpenter, who is a highly sexual artist, was referencing sex on stage? Of course they were, because how could a short, cute little white girl who is also blonde, a blonde, cute little white girl, how could she possibly know what sex is? It's the assumption. Women having sexual freedom and willingly engaging in sex is highly associated with blackness. You can see this most clearly when it comes to things like Disney and Nickelodeon stars. Miley Cyrus, she was Hannah Montana, all-American girl. And what does she do whenever she wanted to shed the Disney image and say, hey, I'm not just a little girl anymore? She releases Can't Be Tamed in bangers. Ariana Grande, another cute little white girl. What does she do whenever she wants to shed the childhood image? She releases Dangerous Woman in Sweetener. They would do things like hang out with rappers. They would incorporate black music styles into their own music. So that way, whenever they'd be sexual, it's like, oh, I'm not just a little white girl anymore. And over time, they would drift away from that because that wasn't who they authentically were. They were just using that as a way to escape the chains of being a white girl. Taylor Swift has never had to do that, and why would she? She makes being a white girl so fucking profitable. And the thing about Taylor Swift is that being a white girl is not just profitable for her, it's her entire brand. Because she's just, like, so awkward. And whenever she dances on stage, she's, like, bad because she's like, awkward. And she loves, like, cats and baking and, like, hanging out with her fans. And she would likely continue with this forever, except for one small problem. Taylor Swift is 35 years old. And it's not like she's showing signs of aging or anything, but the brand of being a white girl is very much being a white girl. What happens in a few years whenever she's 40? What happens whenever she starts to get wrinkles? Once you're middle-aged, it's not cute anymore to be awkward. So she's aging out of being a white girl, but she doesn't have a brand or really even a sense of self outside of being a white girl. Also, low-key, this is the entire key to her relationship with Travis Kelce, which is not going to go well, but that's a story for another day. And keep in mind, the world has been moving on. An artist like Sabrina Carpenter could not exist 10 years ago. There was nowhere in the pop landscape for her. For like a cute little white girl who's that sexual. It didn't exist. And then on top of that, things have been rapidly changing politically. So people want different things from women now. And the life of a showgirl is a testament to Taylor's inability to rise to the occasion. Like on the song Wish List. Oh, everybody wants bright lights and designer things, and they want like a fat ass. But me, then we get to the chorus, but me, I just want to have all of your kids. I want to have all of your kids, and then I want to live in a house, and I want the driveway to have a basketball hoop in it for our kids. And Taylor's personal struggle between her being her own woman and her being a cute little white girl is really embodied by the song Wood. It's called Wood because it's in reference to Travis Kelce's, that. But the song isn't sexual at all, because the song isn't about sex. It's about a woman justifying the fact that she has sex. The song starts with her picking petals off of a daisy. Oh, he loves me not. Taylor portrays herself as being super insecure until Travis Kelce digmatizes her and opens up her eyes. And keep in mind, white girls cannot be sexual beings. It's not that she has sexual feelings, it's that a man came along and unlocked it in her. The curse was lifted. You see, you guys, it's not about sex at all. It's about love. His love was the key that opened my thighs. I don't have sexual feelings. I'm just a little white girl. Because this album is supposed to be her embodying her sexual energy, thus, life of a showgirl. But Taylor either feels unable or isn't willing or whatever it is you want it to be Taylor doesn't actually embody it. She doesn't explore it because the embodiment of her sexual energy would come at the expense of the brand of Taylor Swift. It's seemingly not compatible, or at least she thinks, or her team thinks, that it's not compatible. So she has to be her own fully embodied grown woman in order to keep up with the times, but she also has to be like a cute little white girl in order to keep up with the brand of Taylor Swift. And in trying to do both, she successfully does nothing. I would be really curious to know if the album was even her idea, especially since so many of the songs sound like rejected tracks off of some of her old albums. Also, how are you gonna have an album called Life of a Showgirl and yet not a single fucking song on the album has a brass section? Showgirl music is big band, it's blaring horns, it's a hell of a lot of fun. And it just did not exist on this album. Not to mention, none of the songs actually have anything to do with being a showgirl, and really not even the song The Life of a Showgirl. Like, she could have just used the word follies once, and I would have been satisfied. But discussing why the music isn't good sonically is not really the purpose of this video. If you have any questions or you disagree with me, please let me know. I love thinking about white women, and Taylor Swift is just, she's the embodiment of it. She really is.
Chile. I don't know why this video was so refreshing to me, because honestly, I feel like a lot of it was regurgitated black talking points. Like, black people have been talking about Miley Cyrus and that whole bangers thing forever, right? But I don't know, it was refreshing because I don't know, it's just like self-aware white person. My goodness gracious Lord. Now, before I get into this, let me say I did not listen to Taylor Swift's album, and I won't. I'm not going to hold you up. I'm not going to go out my way to listen to it, because I feel like Taylor Swift's music is really, like, 99.99% of the time, it's just very mediocre, honestly. You know, and look, Taylor has like 3 songs that I enjoy. Our Song, I like that song. You Belong With Me, I like that. And then there's like another 1 or 2, right? She has like 3 songs that I enjoy. And look, to be fair, you know, I'm not saying that my opinion is the only one that matters and that anybody's success is, you know, determined by how I feel about their music personally. That's not what I'm saying, right? But just in my opinion, her music don't be doing nothing for me. And it's crazy because I like all different types of music. I really do. I listen to rap, I listen to classical music, I listen to pop, I listen to country. If it sounds good, I'm gonna listen to it, honestly. That being said, Taylor Swift music, it is like, y'all, also, okay, in addition to me listening to different genres, I listen to music that's like deep and thought-provoking. I listen to music that is not that deep and it's just catchy, you know. But Taylor Swift's music is nothing. Like it's just, it's like, not only is it shallow, right? But like I said, I'll listen to shallow music. It's not even like catchy. It's just like, what exactly is this? So I'm gonna be honest, I ain't listened to her album. I will not be listening to it. It just is what it is, right? But Becky here brought up some really good points, because this is seriously true about Taylor Swift. She markets music to the mediocre white girl. That's why she's so popular, because people be comparing Taylor Swift to Beyonce. Like, hey, like, what is we talking about, right? Like, there's no way you really just did that, right? But, I mean, Taylor Swift is what mediocre white girls need. That's really what it is. Let me really, like, explain the point that I'm trying to make, because I don't want y'all to think that I'm saying that her music is for mediocre white girls just because she herself is a mediocre white girl. Because Miley Cyrus is a mediocre white girl too. And Miley Cyrus has some bops. When I tell y'all, when I was in middle school, put on your coolest dress and your hottest pair of shoes. Come on, let's go. Oh, like, y'all, look, the point I'm making is not that, oh, Taylor Swift puts out mediocre white girl music because she herself is a mediocre white girl. Because Disney was full of mediocre white girls and they was putting out boppity bops, okay? My point is that Taylor Swift she just doesn't make great music. Like, I honestly, and I guess a lot of mediocre white girls resonate with her because they don't make great anything. And they're like, yeah, this is like our Beyonce, you know? Like the second coming of Christ type. I think what was so refreshing about Becky's take is that again, even though she made a lot of points that black people have been making, the hypersexualization of black women, when white girls want to get out of that white girlhood, they step into black culture, right? We all see that. We've all mentioned that, right? But I think what was so refreshing is that me personally, I never even thought about the fact that Taylor Swift is 30 fucking 5 years old. Now, don't get me wrong, that's not old or anything. That's not what I'm saying, baby. I'm 29, okay? I'm right behind her, right? But it's like, you this old and this is the music you putting out? Like, y'all, because at my age, at 29 years old, right? If Taylor Swift, or let's pretend there was a new Taylor Swift, or in a different space-time continuum, Taylor Swift just came out now when I'm 29 instead of, when I was a teenager or whatever, right? And she came out with a song like You Belong With Me. I wouldn't vibe with it at 29 the way that I vibe with it at 15. It's different, right? Like don't get me wrong, it's a catchy little sounding song, but it's like, it's shallow and it's childish. It's very teenager-ish, and that is what it is. At 29 years old, I would not be vibing like, you know what I'm saying, with shallow, childish Disney music now the way that I did at 15. Now, don't get me wrong. I mean, like, since the shit came out when I was 15 and I was bopping to it then, it's still my jam, right? But if it came out now as a 29-year-old, it wouldn't like hit to me much, right? Because it's just like, as you grow, it's just like your worldview becomes more deep. Your perception of love and relationships become more deep, right? So those little teeny bopper songs, like they not gonna hit the same at 15 as they would have hit if it came out when you was 30, right? But Taylor Swift is still putting out the same teeny bopper music, but she 35. Like, girl. Somebody on Twitter posted, they were like Beyonce at 35, and they posted her Lemonade album versus Taylor Swift at 35. And, some people were saying like, oh, well, Beyonce's album was in response to Jay-Z cheating or whatever, right? Okay, very true. I guess, Taylor Swift hasn't been cheated on or anything like that. But the point that I'm going to make is this: cheated on or not, right? In your 30s, your music should have just a bit more depth. Because whether you've been cheated on or not, you have a brand new understanding of love. Like, when I was 18, I was messing with this guy, and y'all, look, at that time, that was my first love. That... child, but when I tell you, at this age, I'm like, look, I don't even want to call that my first love, cause like, I guess, cause I sure had some really strong feelings, but now it's just like, again, your perception and your understanding of love and relationships and stuff grows so much as you grow, as you learn, as you experience, right? And if you're a musician or a music artist or whatever, that should be reflected in your music. You shouldn't still be putting out teeny bopper shit that, you would have been singing to and really vibing with when you were 15 at 35, bro. Have y'all noticed that Taylor Swift at 35, her fan base is a bunch of 15-year-olds and lower? Like, you know what I'm saying? And granted, I mean, okay, let me be fair, okay? Because somebody made this point about something random. It didn't have nothing to do with Taylor Swift or anything. But they were saying, like, nowadays, there is nothing that is uniquely for kids, right? And I was thinking, like, that's kind of true. Because when I was growing up, we had music artists that were putting out kid music. Like, we was bopping to Demi Lovato, hold up, I am confident, but I still have my moments, baby. That's just me. Like, come on now, right? We actually had music artists that were for kids. They were kids and they were for kids, right? And nowadays, there's really nothing for kids, right? So people complain about kids nowadays listening to all this grown-up music and shit, but it's like, I mean, there's not really anything else for them to listen to, right? So I will say this. I do understand, like, okay, there needs to be music for the kids, right? But Taylor Swift, Bookie Butt, you is 35, girl. I don't think you need to be the one making it. I think it need to be some other kids making sad music. Because, girl, like, the fact that you 35 and none of your fans are fucking grown, like, I'm sitting here thinking, like, could that possibly be normal? I guess maybe possibly. Like, like JoJo Siwa was, an artist. I think, does JoJo Siwa make music? I don't know what she does. I know she was on a dance show, right? I know she's supposed to be a dancer. which is crazy to me because I've seen her dance before and I was like, whoa, that is really bad. Which, side note, y'all, I'm not gonna hold y'all. My whole life I said I can't dance, right? Because I was comparing myself to black people. But then I competed in this pageant with white people. Y'all, all of the white girls were dancers. That was their talent. My talent was the violin. And they told me we had to do some opening number, some little dance, whatever. I was like, oh my God, I might just quit this pageant because I really can't dance, right? Then I saw them white girls get to dance, and I was like, "Are y'all serious? Y'all are dancers, and that's how y'all dance?" They were horrific. Like, now, don't get me wrong. I will say they caught the steps quicker than me, cause that's what they do. But they looked terrible. They really did. Like, that was a side note, y'all. I was like, "Oh, I need to dance around white people more." This made me feel good about myself. Like, "Ooh, like Chile." But anyway. Back to JoJo Siwa. I don't know what it is she did, right? But I know that she was geared towards children and she herself was not a child. So I'm like, I'm trying to get Taylor Swift some, some slack. I'm trying to cut her some slack. But it's like, I don't know, girl. Because you came out when you was 15. Your music should have grew with you. Like, I feel like with other artists, their music has grown with them. Like, the music that they're putting out now is not stuff that they would have put out as kids. And don't get me wrong, everything they were putting out as kids was not shallow. I will say that. Like, but, the depth that you gain as you age, right? It shows in the artistry. It shows, right? And by and large, from what I've seen from Taylor Swift, it's definitely not showing that. Now, granted, I gotta be fair. Like I said, I'm not finna listen to the album, so shit, maybe I'm wrong, right? But based off what Becky is saying, it sounds like that is the case. This is the reality, though. This is what we all know. You might pretend that it's not true. Look, you about to come in my comments, Flower Tower, College, because you're just saying, you can pretend all you want, right? But the reality is this. In all aspects, right? Not just music or whatever. Black people have to work twice as hard for half as much. That's the reason why y'all can compare Taylor Swift to Beyonce. That's insane, honestly. That's really crazy. But no, matter of fact, y'all be comparing Taylor Swift to Michael Jackson. Like, y'all, I'm not even gonna go there, right? But my point is this though. We all know this. And like I said, y'all can pretend that y'all don't know this. Oh, black people just trying to be the victims. Pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Whatever, right? But the reality is, y'all know this and y'all bank on it, right? Y'all are banking on the fact that you can be mediocre as hell at everything you do and still be successful, right? Taylor Swift has been banking on that for years. And it's been working for years. It absolutely has, right? But I guess now we're getting to the point where it's not working so much. And that's when white people are faced with the reality of, yeah, I guess you got to pull yourself up by your damn bootstraps. Sheesh.